I'm American, and we have a lot of Christmas traditions in this country. Some people decorate trees. Some people flirt with financial ruin in an effort to give the most extravagant and expensive gifts to their loved ones. Some people leave out cookies for a fat man in a red suit that can supposedly fit his bowl of jelly belly down through a chimney.
Thank you very much.
We take our blood sugar to terrifying new heights with cookies, fudge, and cakes, and test the limits of our livers with spiked eggnog and mulled wine.
Can we get a nod to figgy pudding?
And while Christmas traditions can and do vary around the globe, there's only one Christmas tradition that Crime to Burn is concerned with: arson. Until today, when I stumbled upon this story, when I thought of Sweden, I thought of things like the pop music group ABBA, the Nobel Prize, little red gummy fish candies, and northern lights. But now I know their darker truth. Sweden, well, one town in Sweden, is known for Christmas arson. Now, in the arsonist's defense, the town has adopted a holiday tradition of making a huge target right in the middle of the town square every year, and the temptation is often just too much for our most arson-minded revelers. And thus we bring you the most arsony Christmas tradition I've ever heard of, the Gävlebacken, or the Java goat. And I hope I'm saying that well. Welcome to Crime to Burn, where we explore the dark, sooty landscape where true crime intersects with arson and criminal negligence. Join us as we sift through the ashes to bring you the story of what really happened. Welcome back to Crime to Burn. I'm April, a fire protection engineer and former firefighter.
And I'm a man who stares at goats.
I want to make it explicitly clear that nothing I say in this episode should be construed as approval of or endorsement for committing arson, but the burning of the Gävle goat is punishable by heavy fines and up to 4 years in prison. But it is a Swedish prison, so
I think it massages.
Make good choices. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on X, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. When you see content from us, leave us a comment, give us a like, share us in your stories. All of those things are completely free ways you can help us grow. Another free way to help us grow is to leave us 5-star ratings and a written review wherever you listen. And a final free way you can help us grow is to tell your friends about our podcast. Finding our audience is hard work, and podcasting isn't free, so we're appreciative of every single person that helps us get noticed by interacting with our content. If you have constructive feedback, case suggestions, or your own fire stories or arson confessions, you can email us at crimetoburn@gmail.com. And if you aren't listening to Beyond the Shadows podcast, I got to be in their show on episode 118, so thank you so much to Scott and Ryan for having me, and go check them out. So let's get back to our friends over in Gävle, Sweden. This is a town known for being hard for Americans to pronounce, and it's known for its hockey team, and it's known for its giant goat, and it's known for its many arson fires of that giant goat. Now, Christmas borrows heavily from the Germanic holiday Yule, which was celebrated to observe the winter solstice. Now, at the winter solstice, the days stopped getting shorter and began to get longer, so the Yule tradition was thought of as a rebirth, ushering in longer days that would lead to warmer weather, new planting seasons, and hopefully a bountiful harvest. In Norse tradition, this return of longer days was attributed to Baldur's rebirth. Baldur was the son of Odin and Frigg, and his identity among the deities was that he was a god of light, so it makes sense that a tradition of welcoming back the sun for longer days would be associated with the figure the ancients associated with light. But why is Baldur coming back? Where has he been? Well, according to the legend, at summer solstice, Loki, Baldur's brother, tricked their blind brother into stabbing Baldur with a branch of mistletoe, killing him. Why it took so long for him to come back, I can't explain, just like I can't explain how Ursa Major looks like a bear to anyone. To me, it looks like a giraffe with an F-16 emerging from its butt. But anyway, Baldur has another brother that you may have heard of. His name is Thor. And in the legends, Thor is carried around in a chariot pulled by goats, which is one supposed explanation as to how the tradition may have started that people in Sweden make goats from the last grains of the harvest. These straw goat figures became common in the Yule and Christmas celebrations. In some areas, people would dress up in homemade goat masks made of sticks, pulling pranks.
What kind of pranks?
I don't really know.
What qualifies as a prank in We're talking about Sweden?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't look that part up.
Like, we're talking about wedgies or...
Maybe wedgies, maybe tying people's shoelaces together. I don't know. Maybe like...
A little shaving cream on the hand,
Maybe shoving people in front of horse-drawn carriages. I don't know.
I feel like that's taking it too far.
I do too, but wait till you hear what else goes on. In some areas, people would dress up in homemade goat masks made of sticks, pulling pranks. However, some of their friends chose to instead cause lifelong childhood trauma for children. They began associating that goat with gift giving in some sort of weird St. Nicholas meets a milkmaid mashup.
What? Man, these people got nothing to do.
In the interest of maximizing childhood trauma, some families would have goat-masked figures visiting the kids, and photos of these are freaking terrifying. The goat masks are made of sticks, and it looks like something out of a nightmare. I have a photo for you.
What the hell is that?
That is a goat mask.
Man, it looks like somebody tried to take arts and crafts and make a broom and it didn't work out.
That is currently for sale on Etsy.
How much they want for that masterpiece?
I didn't look.
Boy, oh boy, I gotta get me a couple. If you had not told me that was supposed to be a goat, it looks like that one special wing of the hospital on craft day. Someone from there made it.
But then in 1966, a marketing consultant named Stig Javlin apparently decided that what his community needed, as traumatizing children with handmade goat masks fell out of style, was a symbol to rally around for the Yule Christmas season. A massive goat.
Obviously.
And the city had apparently been into the eggnog and mulled wine because they thought, yes, a massive goat.
I mean, really, when you put it that way.
A massive goat. When they asked Stig what he planned to make his goat out of, he could have chosen any material at all, literally anything.
Really?
But Stig planned to build the town's goat out of straw, because nothing says Christmas like fire hazards. Unfortunately, nothing says arson like a big, tempting pile of excellent tinder. So Stig knew what to do. He hired his brother Jorgen to build it, and Jorgen was, of course, the fire chief. And hell, if the fire chief is on board, it must be safe. I have to wonder if the fire chief ever suggested using a less flammable material to build this behemoth goat. But what Stig and Jorn lacked in fire safety awareness, they made up for in insane straw wrangling ability, because the resulting goat was 33 feet tall and weighed 3 tons. And
what?
And the Gävle goat was unveiled by the fire department on December 1st, 1966, right in the middle of Castle Square. It had a wood, skeleton. Then they hand wove the straw mats that they attached to it. It takes over 1,000 man-hours to build one of these, and they build one every year.
So why do they do this again?
It was actually originally a marketing ploy to be like this big thing that would draw people to the downtown area, hoping that they would stay and shop. And
a big straw goat?
A big straw goat.
That was the result of their focus group.
Yeah, apparently 1966, man. I'm telling you, they had to have been in the eggnog.
That's the 1900s? When it started?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was so popular that it was decided to make this mammal-shaped pile of kindling an annual holiday tradition in Gävle. The Gävleboken.
It did the thing. It brought the people.
Apparently.
They were like, hey, yeah, we're going to go see a giant goat. What were you going to do today?
I got nothing better to do.
Churn some butter? I don't even know what they do over there.
However, not everyone thinks this marketing device was a good idea. According to a documentary by The Guardian, which I'll link in the show notes, people set on burning the Gävleboken said that it goes back to the ancient gods forging the world in fire, while the Gävleboken is just some capitalist false tradition aimed at encouraging people to shop and adopt more modern Christmas traditions. And it's rumored that there's actually a secret goat-burning society in the town, but there's no proof of that.
Wait, a whole society of goat burners? Man, I bet they got like a secret word or something, or a handshake. I want to get in that.
One self-professed advocate of roasted goat claims that before what he calls the false light of Christianity took over, people worshipped fire. And he goes on to explain that fire kept people warm and alive through the winter. It offered a means of fighting off enemies, and they could plant seeds in the scorched earth left behind by fire to continue the cycle of life. So he claims that Sacrifice is required every winter to bring the sun back because Thor, according to legend, would roast and eat the goats that pulled his chariot each night, and the goats would be resurrected the next day to pull the chariot again. And the goat represents new and, according to him, false traditions, so it should be sacrificed.
Wow. Wow. So, don't apply for Thor's goat position.
No,
Pull a chariot all day and then get eaten. And then once you're finally resting, you get resurrected again to pull that chariot again. That sounds awesome.
I didn't look in to see if there's any truth to the mythology that he was discussing, because
Did you just say truth to mythology?
No, I mean, like, if there was any, like, if his version of the mythology is the accepted version of the mythology, or, I mean, for all I know, he could be...
off canon.
Yeah.
That's not the little hand gesture you just made, but off canon, I feel like.
We'll go with off canon. A scholar that lives in town explains that the goat's an interesting juxtaposition of the devil, who's often depicted as having hooves and horns of a goat, and this nice Christian image of Christmas and gift-giving and joy and rebirth. Make of that what you will. But regardless of how you see the Christmas goat, one thing is certain. It has definitely not had a run of good luck. In its inaugural year, on December 31st, 1966, New Year's Eve, the temptation got the best of some vandal, and he set the goat aflame, resulting in his conviction for vandalism.
Oh.
Now
no, you shouldn't commit crimes, right?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, it turns out that building 3-ton goats out of straw is an expensive endeavor, and I don't know why Harry Strom financed the goat, but he had thought to insure it also, which I have to ask, how did that phone call go?
Wow.
Imagine calling up your insurance agent and being like, yes, I need to insure a 3-ton goat.
What do you use, Lloyd's of London?
Made of straw. Now, how much did this goat cost to build? The first year it was built, it cost 10,000 Swedish crowns, which would be...
What do you think they do with the goat when they're done with it?
Oh, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, cool.
How much did the goat cost to build? In 1966, it cost 10,000 Swedish crowns, which would be about 180,000 Swedish crowns today, which is about 16,500 US dollars. Now, I was trying to figure out why you would insure straw. Like, what are you going to do with it if it doesn't burn down? And based on one interview I saw, apparently the intent is to store the skeleton of the goat and use the straw for heating and animal feed and things like that.
Well, that makes good sense.
However, apparently the goat did survive its sophomore season and its third year. The townspeople added a fence for good measure, and the goat survived. But in 1970, the goat burned, and with 2 malicious fires under its haunches, Gävleboken kicked off a much more nefarious holiday tradition in the town of Gävle: arson attacks. In 58 years, the goat has been damaged or destroyed 42 times.
Nice.
And while arson hasn't been the only method of slaughter, it is the most popular. Other methods of destruction include being hit by vehicles, being beaten by clubs, being kicked to death, but it's been turned into a crispy critter 38 times, making arson the unofficial holiday tradition in the town of Gävle.
So why do they hate this goat so much? I don't understand.
As of this recording, on Christmas Day in 2024, the goat is still standing, having made it to Christmas Day. Will it make it all the way to January? Will it survive the whole season? That remains to be seen, but it is on live webcam on YouTube, and you can watch it.
Well, didn't you say earlier that December 31st was
when
30th or something?
The 31st is a common day for it to burn down, so is the 24th, but it's burned down.
They still have time.
They
you can
do.
still get in on the poll.
But we don't endorse that. We're just saying
Pool?
We're just saying that it could happen still.
Just saying it could happen.
But at least this year it's already outrun its worst year in history, which was 1970, when the goat burned just 6 hours after it went up, thanks to 2 drunk teenagers who were never sentenced. Now, the town pitched in to construct a second goat that year out of lakeweed. And I don't know what lakeweed is, but it sounds like it could be itchy. But apparently the lakeweed version of the goat survived, and yet for some reason no one's ever suggested that we just build the goat out of lakeweed now.
That makes sense. I mean, who smokes gateweed? What did I say?
Lakeweed.
Who smokes lakeweed?
Now, from 1966 through 1970, the goat was financed by the Southern merchants. But in 1971, they retired from the giant straw goat game, so it was in 1971 that the Natural Science Club from the School of Vasa got into the goat-making game. They built a little bit smaller version of the goat. Unfortunately, their version in 1971 was beaten to death with clubs. No motive was given.
It sounds angry. Why are they so mad at the goat?
I don't know.
All it ever tried to do was pull Thor around and get eaten and resurrected? Yeah.
Now,
that would be handy if you could just resurrect your dinner in the morning.
I don't know. I get tired of eating the same thing over and over.
Oh, that's a good point. You think you ever cooked it different ways, or?
I don't know.
You didn't really mention that.
Now, the Natural Science Club apparently could have used the help of the Engineering Club because in 1972, their second goat, it collapsed. Now, some reports say it was actually due to sabotage, but other reports say that it just collapsed under its own weight. Structural issues resolved in 1973. The goat was kidnapped.
No.
Yeah, the goat napper put it in his backyard, which of course made it super hard for police to figure out who took it.
I think every small town has a story about some high school kids or college kids removing a statue from somewhere via car and chain. It sounds something like that.
Yeah. Well, he put it in his backyard, so he was festively sentenced to 2 years in prison for aggravated theft.
Wow. Ouch.
In 1974, the arsonists have had it with assaults and kidnapping and structural instability vexing their arson efforts, and the goat once again went up in flames. And in 1975, the goat collapsed again under its own weight. And the next year, in 1976, the goat collapsed once again, but this time it was because a student rammed it in its back legs with a Volvo. In 1977, we're back to arson, but only for a year, because 1978 ushered in the year of the brutal goat-kicking incident, where the goat was kicked to death.
With human feet?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a beatdown. You're talking about how much you say this goat weighs?
Well, the original one was 33 feet tall and weighed 3 tons.
So I'm imagining someone trying to kick that thing to death.
So the school built a smaller version, but they don't give me the size of it. It's obviously big enough to notice sitting in someone's backyard, but I don't know how big it was. But we're going to get to how big it got, because there's about to be some world records.
That's what she said.
But in 1979, somebody burned the goat before construction was even finished. So they built a second goat that year, and it was destroyed by being broken into pieces. It doesn't say how it was broken into pieces.
Is it okay if I imagine it was like samurai swords?
I like that. Yeah, let's go with that. Christmas Eve of 1980, the goat was taken by arson again, but a triumphant year in 1981 when the goat survived, only to be burned again in 1982. 1983 only says, quote, legs destroyed, unquote.
Good job. Legs destroyed.
Legs destroyed. In 1984 to 1987, the goat was burned every year, but there was some other controversy over this time period. You see, 1984 was the year the Natural Sciences Club was featured in the Guinness Book of World Records because this year their goat measured 41 feet tall, much taller than the original 33-foot goat. Now, the Southern merchants, who had not been building goats for many years now, got a little incensed. They felt that the title was unfairly bestowed to this goat because they thought this goat was not attractive enough and its neck was too long.
They didn't think it was the goat of goats.
No.
Too long of a neck. They're like, what is this, a giraffe?
So the school science club getting this award from Guinness reignited the Southern merchants, and they were back in the game. And every year since, there's been 2 goats.
No, 2 goats.
It's a goat rivalry.
A goat off.
So 1 goat each year by the Southern merchants and 1 by the Natural Sciences Club from the school. The rivalry has been harsh, though. One year, the Science Club actually put up a sign that said, "Merry Christmas, everyone except the Southern merchants," on their goat.
Oh.
And the Southern merchants expected their 1986 goat to take the new Guinness World Record, but alas, it came up just a little bit short in the official measurements. In 1987, someone had the brilliant idea to apply fireproofing to the goat.
What kind of fireproofing?
I don't know. It didn't actually tell me in 1987. It gave me some information later on, but...
Because it's one thing to build something completely out of straw, but then to attempt to fireproof that straw thing. I want to know what you were thinking.
And after they applied the fireproofing, the goat burned down.
Here's where I think everyone should know what kind of fireproofing this was.
In 1988, English bookmakers opened up gambling on the fate of the goat.
That was a no-brainer.
And the goat survived that year.
Oh, no.
And in 1989, the goat was burned prior to assembly, so public funds were raised to rebuild it, and it burned again in January. 2 goat fires.
Okay, so you told us how much the original goat cost to produce or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do we have like a goat production average at this point? Because we get like a sample of 40-something, right?
Based on some of the charges later on, we know that typically the damages are 80,000 to 100,000 crown plus some fine.
Wow.
Now keep in mind that a crown is like 9 cents.
Still.
That's a lot of straw.
Though, that's a lot of cheeseburgers.
Yeah. So in 1990, things were getting pretty serious. And so volunteers from the town guarded the goat to protect it, and it survived.
Oh, yeah. That's what's up, man. A volunteer militia always wins.
But Arson took the goat in 1991.
They let their guard down.
In 1992, 8 days after construction of the Southern Merchants goat, both the Science Club's goat and the Merchants goat burned on the same night. So the Merchants rebuilt theirs, which burned again on December 20th.
Dang.
Now, the perpetrator was caught and sentenced to jail, but I couldn't find any information about how long he served. Apparently, the same person set all 3 fires.
I got a feeling that this is just going to escalate from here. Like, you're taking this from a somewhat not modern place. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't come from anything modern, right?
There's a reason we're going through this year by year, because this is going to get better.
I'm pretty sure we're going to end up with, like, aliens trying to abduct this thing or something.
Oh, you're not as far off as you think.
Oh, no.
But the interesting thing is that in 1992, the goat got its own committee and has had its committee ever since. So there is actually a committee aptly named the Goat Committee, and they are frequently quoted in press about the goat.
That is the best committee you've ever seen. The Goat Committee. The greatest of all time.
Do you put that on your resume?
I would.
Like, I'm the chair of the Goat Committee.
I would, for sure.
The goat has its own spokesperson.
Oh, wow. How do you get that job?
I don't know. I'm guessing you probably have to be Swedish, so it's probably not going to be open to us.
I speak for the goat. Hear the words of the goat now. I will speak them to you.
Now, in 1993, the goat made the Book of World Records again, but once again, it was the Science Club and not the Southern Merchants with a now 49-foot-tall goat, and the goat survived, as did the next year in 1994.
Way to go, nerds.
Now, in 1995, a Norwegian was arrested for burning down the goat on Christmas Day, but in 1996, they added webcams, and you can actually right now watch a live stream of the goat on YouTube. I'll link it in the show notes, but this was the first year of the webcams, and the goat survived.
Can I watch it now?
Yeah, you can look at it now.
Oh, cool. I'm doing that.
I had to check it before we recorded to make sure it was still there. In fact, they have all the clips of since they added webcams, of all the times it's been destroyed.
How crazy would that be if I pulled that up right now and they burned the goat while we were recording this thing?
All right, we'll pull it up. It is still there. In 1997, the goat was reportedly damaged by fireworks. It doesn't tell me if it was actually a fireworks attack or if there was fireworks and some of them fell on the goat and damaged it, but it reportedly survived, albeit damaged.
Smoking goat.
Now, in 1998, the goat burned on the 11th of December during a blizzard, and in 1999, it was burned within hours, and the Natural Science Club goat fell to the same fate.
I feel like you just breezed over the it burned during a blizzard thing.
I don't have any more information other than it burned during a blizzard.
Doesn't that seem unlikely?
It does.
All right, I just wanted to call attention to it since you were just breezing over it.
In 2000, the Merchant's goat was burned, but the Natural Science Club goat did not get burned. It was thrown in the river.
What? How much did that one weigh?
I don't know.
I mean, because at some point you get enough straw together and it'll float, right?
Yeah.
Did someone write it?
I don't have a picture. I don't have any more information on it.
Oh, I hope someone wrote it.
All right, well, here we go. In 2001, a 51-year-old American tourist from Cleveland, Ohio, had been convinced by his friends that burning the goat was not only expected each year, but it was legal. Not a man to pass up an opportunity to commit arson, the tourist lit the goat on fire.
I know I would.
He spent 18 days in jail and was ordered to pay 100,000 kroner, which would have been about...
Wait, I thought you said it was legal.
No, it's not. He was told it was legal, but it's not legal.
Oh.
His
See,
friends...
I would have got tricked.
Yeah, he did. Well, he only served 18 days in jail, but he was ordered to pay 100,000 crowns, which would have been about 11,600 US dollars in 2001, or about $20,000 in today's money.
That's ouchy.
The best part is that the court confiscated his cigarette lighter, telling him that he didn't appear qualified to handle it.
I would have come back with a certificate.
His defense in court was that his friends had convinced him he was taking part in a legal goat-burning tradition, and as soon as he was out of jail after his 18 days, he returned to the U.S. without paying his fines.
And you don't think any of the people there locally could understand this guy's plight? Like,
Oh,
how
I'm
he
sure
got
they could.
rooked and, like, man. Is he still on the lam for that?
If I was him, I just wouldn't go back to Sweden.
Is that the only way they can enforce it?
I don't know.
They're not going to extradite him to Sweden?
Over $20,000? Probably not. Probably costs more to extradite him.
I've seen people extradited for less. Not to Sweden. That's why I was curious.
In 2002, a 22-year-old from Stockholm attempted to set the merchant's goat on fire, but it survived with just minor damage. And in 2003 and 2004, the goats were both burned, but it's 2005 where it gets interesting. In 2005, vandals dressed as Santa and the Gingerbread Man shot flaming arrows at the goat, burning it down on December 3rd.
That is awesome. If they could have thrown in an Easter bunny, that would have been, man, maybe a panda. I don't know. That's awesome.
5 days later, it was broadcast on Sweden's Most Wanted.
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
Can we watch that now?
Maybe. It's probably not in English. In 2006 and 2007, the Natural Science Club's goats were destroyed by arson, but the Southern Merchants' goats both survived. In 2008, it burned again, and in 2009, hackers took down the webcams with a denial of service attack, allowing arsonists access to burn the goat. And they did.
I knew this was going into the future.
Now, in 2010, someone reportedly tried to bribe one of the guards with 50,000 crowns to leave his post so that they could steal the goat via helicopter and take it to Stockholm.
What?
The guard...
A helicopter? There's no way to sneak a helicopter anywhere, is there? They're loud, right?
I would think
the
so.
The lights on them and stuff.
And
and how heavy is this one?
I'm guessing it's 3 tons. That's...
No, you got a helicopter carrying a 3-ton payload.
So the guard declined, and both goats lived that year.
Oh man, good on that guard. That sounds dangerous. Like, I like dangerous stuff, but that just sounds bad. So many things could happen.
Now, in 2011, someone had the bright idea to spray the goat with water, which would freeze in the super cold temperatures and protect the goat.
Probably better than that fireproofing stuff they use.
It worked exactly the same. The goat burned. The ice melted. And in 2012, we're back up to trying fireproofing. They had a different fireproofing product, and the fire department fireproofed the goat on the 12th of December. They finished at 22:49. At 23:46, the official Twitter account bragged about feeling good. And 10 minutes later, at 23:56, the goat had burned to the ground.
Wow. You're like, hey, this goat, it costs like 12 grand in straw and 25 grand in Nomex. Have they tried Nomex?
I don't know.
I don't think they have.
I mean, they just need to put it in a big jumpsuit.
Yeah, one of those big race car suits.
Then you can get sponsors to put patches on the goat suit.
Oh, this is a good idea.
Sweden, call me. Anyway, in 2013, perps burned the goat and filmed themselves doing the burning, but I didn't see anything about whether or not they were charged. I imagine probably. In 2014, it was a survival year for the merchants, but the Natural Science Club's goat collapsed.
Because?
Didn't say.
I just got tired.
Probably. In 2015, the goat burned, and police had a tough time cracking the case when they located a 26-year-old man fleeing the scene with a singed face, smelling of gasoline, and holding a lighter.
What, you said they had a hard time?
No, I'm kidding. It was sarcasm. Oh. He was sentenced to probation and 86,000 crowns in fines for damages.
Well, it sounds like they're getting it paid for most of the time.
Now, in 2016, it was the 50th anniversary of the goat, and just hours after the official birthday party, it burned. The perpetrator unfortunately dropped his hat while he was escaping, and police used DNA to match it to a 21-year-old local. They used DNA testing to solve who burned a goat.
It's like
a straw goat.
Spy versus spy escalation.
Now, he was sentenced to probation and fined about 100,000 crown in damages, and they did replace the goat after the burning with the Science Club's goat that year, which was then hit by a car, which you can see on the YouTube channel.
When you say hit by a car, it's not like it was crossing the road, right?
No.
So someone bore down on this thing. Can you imagine?
Oh, I saw the video.
Why do they hate this goat?
I don't know. I think it's just become tradition now.
To wreck your car on it, though? Like, that's kind of... I don't know, man. That's taking it to another level. Maybe I just don't understand the Swedish.
In 2017, they put up double fences, cameras, and guards, and the goats survived. But the next year, they doubled down on guards by also moving a taxi stand close to where the goat was to increase the number of people that would be able to keep an eye on it at all times. And someone did attempt to burn the Natural Science Club goat, but it was only damaged.
Look, next year, dig yourself a trench around this thing, fill it full of pungy spikes and fire, and you already have the fire.
Now, by 2019, they were not effing around. They have double fence, 24-hour CCTV, 2 guards, 24 hours a day, and canine units guarding the goat. And the goat survived, meaning for the first time ever, the goat has now survived more than 2 years in a row, and it didn't stop there. It survived 2020 also, taking it to a new 4-year survival streak.
A tribute to the benefit of good security.
But in 2021, both goats burned, and a 40-year-old man was arrested and sentenced to 6 months in prison and 109,000 crowns in damages. And in 2023, we saw the Alfred Hitchcocking of the goat. When the high...
Did you say the Alfred Hitchcocking?
Yes, I did.
I didn't know that was a verb.
It's not. I made it one. What happened is it was apparently very wet, and they were having trouble getting all of the seed out of the straw. So there was a large seed content in the straw used to make the goat, and the jackdaws went after it, and this goat looked like a punk goat by the time they were done with it. Birds ate the goat.
Oh.
That's not a sentence I ever thought I'd say.
And then the birds ate the goat.
So that's what I meant by the Alfred Hitchcocking. The jackdaws went after the goat.
Cocking.
And that brings us to 2024. Now, I wrote this episode on Christmas Day, and the goat was still standing, but will it survive the year? Remains to be seen. I should also mention that inspired by the Gävle Boken, IKEA got in on the act in 2010, putting a goat outside an Iceland branch of IKEA. And this makes sense to me. I mean, those terrifying Christmas goat masks look like demons, and it makes sense that demons laid out the traffic patterns in IKEA and wrote the instructions with the explicit intent to tear happy marriages apart when you try to build furniture together.
Can you imagine the instruction manual for one of those masks?
So IKEA in Iceland went to the goats and built their own fire hazard, and it was destroyed by arson in its inaugural year. The second year, in 2011, the goat fell over during a storm. In 2012, it burned. In 2013, it fell over again. And in 2014, the IKEA goat finally survived its first season, but in 2015, it burned down when an electrical fault in its own lights caught it on fire. In 2016, 3 arsonists were arrested for burning the IKEA goat, and one of the arsonists said in a TV interview, "I maybe wouldn't do it again, but I wouldn't take it back either." She also talked about how it was the adrenaline rush, and that her only motive that she could think of was that she thought it would be really funny. So from 2017 to 2023, the goat survived, the IKEA goat. But what makes it more interesting is that over 5,000 people signed up to a Facebook event pledging to burn the goat. But I guess they all got busy because this occurred in 2019 and no one showed up to burn it, apparently, because it survived. And that is the story of the Gävle boken, or the Gävle goat.
Well said.
Toilet papers roll for the beehole. Holy cow.
What?
That's big. You're so fancy.
It's not a fancy one, really. It's pretty basic.
I think it's fancy. I'll get your goat. And your little goat, too.
That would be fun. For me, I don't know how it would be for everyone else. It might be a little torturous. Well, I don't think I've used all my words for the day yet.
Good. Me, 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 me.
You. I'm ready.
Okay. The Gävle boken, or the Gävle ghost. Nope. Or the Gävle goat. God damn it.
God damn that yabba dabba goat.
I have to wonder if this fire chief ever suggested using a less flammable material to build this behemoth goat. Why do I keep saying ghost? For the town of Gävle. I think I said that wrong.
Whoville?
Gävle God damn it.
Oh, yeah. It sounds really moldy or definitely wet, like a basement.
Yeah.
Basement carpet. No one wants to smoke basement carpet anymore.
No. We don't even have carpet.
I thought you were going to say, because your mom sat on it.
Brilliant idea to a fly.
To a flop. What are all those UFOs in the background?
In 2022, nope, that's supposed to be in 2002. Switzerland is the watches and chocolate. Swedish people are the gummy fish and Nobel Prize. And
That's
ABBA.
really not helping me, though. Switzerland is Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
Sweden is Swedish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that does make sense.
It worked exactly the same. The boat gurned.
The boat gurned.
It worked exactly the same. The boat. God damn it.
That boat was destined to die. That sounded like a big old weird masturbation metaphor.
It wasn't. The end didn't make it because the boat didn't. The goat
got busy.
Guess they all got busy and didn't make it because the boat.
The boat. We're back on the boat. You're tired of their attitude. Sure, they're cute, but goats will eat your shirt while making direct eye contact. But hey, maybe don't escalate straight to fire.
I have a picture of a goat trying to eat your shorts.
You're trying to get on a true crime podcast. Fun fact, setting goats on fire will definitely get you in the news. Whether it's the kind of fame you want, that's another story. You hate your insurance rates. Watch your premiums skyrocket when you explain how goat combustion isn't an accident. Fire are these riders. It looked at you funny. That sideways glare and devilish smirk? Yeah, it knows what it did. Burn first, ask questions later.
Goats can't not look at you funny.
They have those goat eyes.
Yeah.
It's probably time to light a fire or call a priest. Regular goats eat your lawn and favorite shirt. Evil goats eat important documents, then laugh as the IRS comes for you. Spontaneous combustion is trending. Everyone's doing it. It demands tribute. All jokes aside, goats, evil or otherwise, should remain flame-free. I need a new writer. Why did it get itchy all of a sudden? I hope it's cookies. I like me some cookies.
We gotta get the diabetes. Hey, it's holiday time.
Theoretical curtains. My butt crack is a cat hair collector.
What? Huh?
Yeah, that's how you know you're in a relationship. You got the other person's hair in your butt crack. I don't know how it gets there.
You wake up with my hair in your butt crack?
Definitely having your hair in my butt crack. Handle.
They should make it out of corn on the cob, and then when people light it on fire, popcorn party.
They're going to have to oil that thing down first. That sounds hot.
Look, this is supposed to be a marketing ploy. Ice skating. You don't even need ice skates. Just show up in your regular shoes. Everything's been oiled. You just skate right by. And if somebody lights the goat on fire, popcorn party.
You want to face down a bunch of bears, though?
Let's
I
take a
don't think
look.
so.
They interviewed the guy that like actually plays the Christmas songs over the bells.
The hunchback guy?
He wasn't really hunchbacked. I think that's the French one is the hunchback.
Oh, is that French?
Yeah.
No, dude, what you're doing right now is terrifying me. Stop it.
Norway is Sweden's more erect cousin.
There's things I don't understand. Like Scotland.
You're thinking too close together.
With my eyes too close together?
I used to go on like haunted tours and ghost tours when I lived in New Orleans, but none of them, I didn't go on any of the cemetery tours. I just did the ones in the French Quarter.
Oh, at least there's something to see there.
And that was the time I almost got kidnapped by a vampire. I had been on ghost tours, but I was on this mission to like try as many different tours to find like the best one. And so when Jay and Donnie and Jean and I were in New Orleans, we went on the vampire tour, which is basically the same thing as a ghost tour, but the guy that hosted the tour was dressed up like a vampire, and they took you to these bars that were reported to be vampire hangouts. So this guy was dressed like top hat, full black cape, all black clothes underneath it.
Like my Thursday attire.
And he invited us to meet him after he got off work. He was doing one tour after ours, and then he was going to get off work, and he told us that he would show us around because
He just wanted a quick bite.
Jay was working for the newspaper at his college, and he wanted to write a story on the supposed vampire culture of New Orleans.
I feel like you're really just trying to describe the plot of Interview with the Vampire.
So we decided to meet at my favorite Irish pub in the French Quarter. Only the problem is that the length of time of the second tour, the tour after ours, was apparently long enough for Jay to get completely faced and for us to lose Donnie and Jean completely. Anyway, so we went to this Irish pub, which I can't remember the name of now. And I'm sitting there at a table, and Jay is literally sitting next to me, like beyond wasted, like head on the table. And I'm thinking, this guy's going to show up. I'm going to have to tell him, like, sorry, man, I'm going to have to take him home. Like, he's trashed. He walks in. I expected him to change, or at least lose the cape. Top hat, cape, full get up, still had the makeup on and everything. I mean, the whole bar just practically froze when he walked in. And he came and sat down next to me. And the second his butt hit the seat next to me, Jay sits up and goes, I gotta go find the bathroom, and runs out the back door because, you know, all the bars and stuff in the French Quarter open up onto a common alleyway, and that's where, like, the bathrooms are. Each building doesn't have its own bathroom. You
just use the alley.
No, there's actually a bathroom off of the alley, but, like 3 or 4 restaurants will share one bathroom facility thing off the alley.
Gross.
So Jay disappears, and I'm sitting here alone with this vampire guy who now suddenly I'm scared of. Like, I hadn't gotten any weird vibes from him during the tour. But
you didn't get any weird vibes from him? There's so many things wrong with what you're saying right now.
I mean, he just seemed like an actor that was doing his job during the tour, but he seemed too committed to the part at this point.
he's all in on this thing.
So he takes my hand, and he's holding my hand as he's talking to me. And he's telling me what a cool girl he thinks I am, and he thinks I'll understand him. And he pulls a ring box out of, I don't know where, somewhere in his cape. And he opens it, and there's like a diamond ring in it. Like a faux, I'm assuming faux. I mean, why would you carry around a real diamond ring?
Maybe it was several hundred years old. You don't
and
know.
He's saying, like, he's saying, let's just pretend, like, I'm going to put this ring on you. We'll go out tonight. We'll go to all these places, and we'll tell everyone we just got married. And blah, 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 and we'll spend tonight together, and then tomorrow we just go our separate ways. And I was like, I don't think I'm as cool as you think I am. And I'm trying to, like, pull my hand away. He tries for a little while to, like, talk me into it, and I'm not having it. And meanwhile, the band is, like, look, I went to this pub a lot, so specifically for this band, so anytime they were playing, I would go. So the lead singer of the band is, like, looking concerned at this point. And so he gets irritated, and he stands up and does the full, like, cape, like you can hear it, the whole room. It cuts the whole room, like the wind from his cape as he, like, and then he goes storming out the door. The band stopped playing, and the thing went completely silent. And then the singer's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah.
Check my neck.
I'm fine. And so the singer told the bartender to bring me a drink, because obviously I was looking a little stunned. And then right about the time everything gets back to like feeling normal again, Jake stumbles back from the bathroom. He's like, "What'd I miss?" like I almost got abducted. I'm pretty sure that I was just a couple yeses away from being chained up in that guy's basement.
I think you have to invite him in.
Yeah, I didn't get any weird vibes from him before the
You
tour.
didn't get any weird vibes. You have no weirdar.
I don't. It's amazing.
You
that
married me.
Your weird matches my weird. We mesh together in a weird mesh. But I understand a lot of your weird because I was there for the making of a lot of your weird.
Yeah, that's true.
So I understand how it came about.
It's like being a witness to a horrible accident.
What's funny is that some of the things that are like your horrible accident were like the highlights of my childhood. The ketchup and mustard on the laundry in the car.
Oh, Lord.
That was one of my... I thought that was the greatest night ever. My mom did not think it was the greatest night ever, by the way. But I did. It was like getting to have a food fight.
Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that so much fun?
Every kid fantasizes about having a food fight. At least we didn't burn a goat in his yard.
Well, this trip down memory lane's been brought to you by trauma.
The childhood kind.
That's the kind that sticks with you.
But it makes you funny. And that's a wrap.